Oh, shit. Is that okay?
I didn't get any on the mic.
I did.
Oh. Well, that's what happens when you carry a fine Pilsner
Did you
beer.
hear that? Have you ever wondered what the sound of someone sucking beer off of a microphone is?
Every day?
Yeah, okay, because our listeners just got to experience that. So sorry about the technical difficulties. We did our traditional open the beer in front of the microphone thing. And for the first time ever, it just exploded all over the microphone.
There are 3 reasons. Number 1, it's a warm day, a beautiful day in Chicago. Reason 2, we walked all the way from Berwyn and Broadway, essentially, to Janine's house, which is a fair piece. And 3, we didn't have a bit.
Right before we started recording, I was thinking the beginning of the bit was going to be me saying, so, Julie, you said you have an idea for a bit, and then before I could even say it, the beer exploded all over the microphone.
It's very true. Well, anyway, here we are.
Hi, so I'm Allison.
And I'm Julie.
And this is Podlander Drunkcast, an Outlander podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And you're currently listening to episode 8, which is being recorded on the same day as episode 9 because we had some additional technical difficulties last week. And the recording was, I think the technical term was a total piece of shit. And the reason is that Janine was in Seattle, so you can blame that on me. So our dear friend Allison Hendricks, who was supposed to guest star last week, she took notes. She stayed up until the wee hours with me. We watched it, and then I got home and listened to it, and I was like, wah, 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 wah. So now, 2 weeks late, you get 2 episodes for the price of 1, although they're free. And also, we're going to release them separately. So just disregard everything I just said. But this is episode 8 of season 2 of Outlander, The Fox's Lair.
The Fox's Lair. That's right.
And it starts with a fox.
Well, it also starts with the theme music.
Oh, right.
Au revoir, French shit.
Yep.
No more French.
You're not going to get any more bad French from me. Instead, you're just going to have to get
Wait, hold on. I'm grieving.
Gaelic.
I'm grieving. Okay, I'm fine.
We just lost 2 of our 6 listeners. So
the fox shows up.
So yeah. So first we're back to Scotland, and it gets a little militant, and there's more military imagery in the credits too, which I thought was really beautiful and kind of ominous.
So she's sewing somebody up. There's obviously battle happening.
Yep. Some like running through the heather with kilts and things.
Amazing knitwear, thank God.
God, the knitwear's back. Here, cheers to the knitwear.
I love the knitwear.
Speaking, this week, this first episode is brought to you by 3 different fine beers. And by brought to you, as always, I mean we paid for it ourselves. And by that, I mean in this case, actually, these are from a friend of mine's fridge. So Brewery Omegang's 3 Philosophers Quadruple Ale, which, by the way, is a 9.7 ABV. So have fun.
I am drinking North Coast Brewing Company's La Merle Saison Belgian-style farmhouse ale. It's fucking delicious, and it's a 7.9. And I'm already half in the bag because I had dinner with wine already. So I'm cool, though. I'm cool.
I didn't, but mine, again, 9.7. Janine is double fisting beers. He is drinking a Ballast Point Habanero Sculpin. And
it's very spicy.
It's so spicy.
It's so spicy that he needed a chaser beer. Which of course is Miller Lite, a fine Pilsner beer.
Of course, I had several of those.
Yes. So anyway, so we see the fox.
And Neil said, kitty dog.
So that's the Neil quote for this week. You just imagine it in his man voice.
He goes, kitty dog. Just like that.
God, have you seen that video that's been making the rounds on the internet this week of a dog and a fox who are actually friends?
No,
so it's like
I can't. After The Fox and the Hound, they had to take me out of the movie theater when I was a baby because I cried so loud and so hard I had to be escorted out. It's real. It's fucking real.
When you're the best
nope.
Well, in real life, and they're both still alive.
Oh my God, I will have to look that up. Although it will have to be in the privacy of my own home and in the dark so that people can't see me. bawling.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so there's a fox. It's a beautiful fox. It's a real pretty shot. And then, whoops, we're back in Scotland.
We're in Lallybroch.
If you thought you were going to have a nice farewell scene where Claire was like, peace, Paris. Nope. They just GTFO. So we're back in Lallybroch, which means we're back with fucking Jenny Murray. Jenny Murray, who is the fucking best. Our fondness for the Pamplemousse is well documented, but I have to say that Jenny Murray might actually be my favorite character on the show.
I love her. I love the actress that plays her. Who is it?
Oh, God.
Laura Donnelly.
See?
Janine.
Oh, my God, Janine.
On it.
Oh, what are we going to do?
Oh, Janine.
What's her name again? One more time?
Laura Donnelly. Right?
Laura Donnelly.
That's
Laura Donnelly.
Thank you so much for your amazing work in
God,
both
she's
season 1
good.
and now. And I also want to say that as we talk through this episode, there's one distinct thing that I remember. And it's that even though you got a great monologue, there wasn't enough of you.
No, there's never enough Jenny.
Yeah.
There's never enough.
So they're in Lallybroch. There's something about a quote from the best laid plans of Mice and Men. Who was that? Was that Robert Burns? It was a Scots dude, right?
It was a Scott. I always think that it's fucking...
GBS.
No, it's not GBS.
He's Irish, right?
Gang After Gly. I don't fucking know. I think it's Robert Burns.
But they're talking about how things didn't go well for them in Paris. And then, does it open with him emptying the sack of potatoes on the table?
Pretty close.
Because I was like, hey, Lallybroch, don't depend on those too much, says Ireland.
No, but that's, if you recall, I'm pushing up the glasses I don't wear and going book nerd for a second. So that's from season 1. The very last thing that Claire and Jenny say to each other is Claire says that she has to plant potatoes. And then Jenny says, well, Jamie told me that he couldn't tell me why, but anything you told me to do, I should just do. So I'm going to do it.
And there's a shit ton of potatoes, but I'm like, wait a minute, Lallybroch, back off all those potato recipes. Don't depend on it too much.
Yeah, but if the option is barley that gets destroyed.
Right, but carrots are delicious too. And we don't want to think about the famine that's coming up.
But in this time period, the Scots were all afraid of vegetables.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, at least according to the Outlander series. I don't know. I'm not a historian.
I am not a food anthropologist, okay?
But in the books, it's all, people are always like, why are you picking those greens? No, it was really bad. But they're like, no, seriously, why would you eat that vegetable? I don't understand.
Nobody ever said...
That comes out of the ground. That's disgusting.
Nobody ever said, give me a kale salad at Lallybroch.
No, nobody did. But now they got potatoes, and they're like, but how do we eat them? And Jamie is like, oh, I know how to eat them. And it's really great. It's like things to add to the list that Jamie's not good at. Mansplaining. He's really bad at it.
He's a poor seaman.
He's a poor seaman. Yeah, he can't sing. He's really bad at not being good in the sack.
I'm gonna cry right now.
And then he's really bad at mansplaining, and also let's just say really bad at cooking potatoes.
Yeah.
But then Fergus is like, oh, I know how to cook the potatoes. Oh, some French.
So you got
just
some
a little
French.
more French.
Oh, petit
You
French.
Roast them, you can boil them, you can mash them with milk. No, then I got German. Shit. I've lost my touch. You can put them on a stick and then put them in the oven. You can cut them into tiny pieces and give them at McDonald's.
It was like the nut monologue from Best in Show or the shrimp monologue from Forrest Gump.
Or it sounds a little bit like, what is it, Baggins in The Hobbit?
Yes.
Like,
with all the foods. Yeah, the second meal or whatever it is. Yeah.
Breakfast, second breakfast, lunch, third breakfast.
Yeah. Everybody likes to have lists with food. I do too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's a real cute, happy little scene. And you think, oh, good, we're going to get some domestic bliss. And then, nope. The first note that I have on my notes is, oh, how nice. Nope, straight back to misery. Because they're there for like 2 seconds, and Jamie is like, he says something in Gaelic that I assume is fuck you, Bonnie Prince douchebag. I assume it's Gaelic for fuck you, Bonnie Prince douchebag, while he's staring out of the window pensively, you know?
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to lose all this, and I hate you.
Yeah. It literally sounds like he was like,
Was that Gaelic or Klingon? So it's beautiful, though. They're all in Lollybrook, and you're like, Jenny, you're here. And then Pamplemousse shows up, and you're like, yay, you're back in your natural habitat, and you look really good. I can't
believe I'm a farmer.
And you're like, thank God.
Pamplemousse forever. You should see me every time Myrta does something awesome, both when I'm watching and when we're talking about it. I pump both my fists into the air. If you can hear any whooshing air, it's the sound of me pumping my fists into the air.
I remember why Jamie said, fuck you, Prince Douche. Because of the letter.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
They forged his name.
I was trying to approximate the thing that he says. So yeah, that's the big development. Mm-hmm. You don't get any nice, fun, happy times. You get like 6 potatoes and then fuck you. Can a girl just eat a potato in peace? So Charles basically was like, oh, well, I mean, I know my friend James is going to support me. I guess I'll just sign his name for him. And Jamie finds out when his uncle is like, hey, this is crazy, but I'm super proud of you, but this is crazy.
Did you do this? And Jamie's like,
So then he's fucked because
now his name is there.
You know, if you've ever heard the expression damned if you do, damned if you don't, this is a pretty key example of that old chestnut. Mm-hmm. Because his name's there, so he's a traitor, right? No matter what he does. Mm-hmm. So the only choice that he has left is to try to help Charles win. And because Jamie does not do anything by half, except for almost have sex with his wife.
All the fucking time now. I am dying. I am dying inside.
Yeah. He just like goes all in. Or doesn't. No, I mean, they totally bone in this episode. You just don't see it.
Don't get me started.
There's that really hot shot.
No, shh. We'll get there. I was so mad by the time that it happened that
we're there, basically. I was
filled with rage. But I did have this to say. So all this goes down. We know that now Jamie has to like go out and get people to fight because now his name is attached to this and he can't change that. And then I'm like, Knitwear, I missed you.
Yep.
And also, Jamie, you do look really good in a kilt.
Oh, yeah, really good in a kilt.
Like, way better. Like, his costumes in France were so beautiful, but he looks better in a kilt.
Yep. I think it's because of the comfort of letting his balls fly free.
It's just comfort in his skin. You're right. It's just like, oh, this is me, and I know I'm hot.
I need to feel the wind around my privates.
And can we just have sex?
There's such easy access, and yet.
God damn it.
All right, well then, I literally wrote down, finally! And then wrote, oh, fuck.
What did I say? I didn't even write anything about that one. No, it was a cutaway. Come on! That's what I wrote.
It's in all capital letters. I'm looking at her notes right now.
2 question marks.
Question mark, exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point. Come on!
But first, a quote that I had was like, they were asking him about Paris, and he was like, Paris was a bitter disappointment. You know what?
Yes,
that's kind of putting it mildly.
Yeah, that's it.
And then there was a little underscoring, maybe when he was talking about something about Scotland. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But I was like, do I just notice the underscoring at this moment because it's bagpipey?
Yeah, maybe.
And then Jenny being awesome. Because I was Jenny. Like, I missed you, Jenny. I'm glad you're back.
So then they go up to their little Laird's bedroom or wherever the fuck. And you're like, oh, thank God, they're finally going to do it.
That's right. And she
jumps on him up
and in this carrying her under her ass.
Yeah, just like she weighs nothing.
And they're both in their nightshirts.
Down on the bed.
He walks past. He expertly walks around a table, which in real life he totally would have hit with his thigh, and it would have been super hot if he had just kind of knocked it.
Another thing Jamie is good at. Avoiding tables while carrying his wife to bed.
Right. And then he lays her down, and then
there's it's a really hot shot where he's all backlit and you could see his giant shoulders and he's like, oh yeah, the things I'm going to do to you, girl. Cut away.
Fucking cut away.
Oh, what a tease.
I was so angry. And then there were flames, and then
on the side of your face?
On the side of my face. And then I had to like press pause for a second. I actually did, because Neil and I were watching it. We were both like, oh, come on. And we both pressed pause, and we're like, okay, fine. Press play. God, come on, you guys.
Yeah.
There's a reason why sort of, some of us started watching this show, you're really letting me down.
I mean, they're still going to be boning. Don't worry. There's plenty of boning ahead.
I know. And their child did just die. So I have to, cut them some fucking slack. But they were obviously going to do it. And there's nothing.
I think maybe it's just that they deserve to have that time. They deserve some privacy.
Okay. You know what? No.
Then Claire wakes up and she's all like, ooh, husband, thank you for that boning that no one got to see but me. I'm going to stretch out my hand with my wedding ring on it.
And you're
not there. And where is he? And this is maybe like they knew that the fans were going to be disappointed that there wasn't more doing it in this episode. So they just had Sam Heughan hold a baby for like 6 minutes.
Jenny's baby, right?
And
his niece.
Yeah, his niece. And it was a beautiful scene. And we'll talk about how fucking good both Ketchriamana and
Jenny.
Laura, what's her face?
Laura McDougal.
Laura
McNoble.
Laura.
She's not on here.
Jenny.
Oh, Laura Donnelly.
Laura Donnelly.
Yeah.
We'll talk about how good they were in a second because I thought that was beautifully written, beautifully acted, beautifully directed. But seriously, just like handsome man holding tiny child.
Well, that's when
whispering in foreign language. Woo!
That's when your ovaries explode.
Yeah.
What I am looking for is an explosion somewhere more centrally. More centrally located. And my ovaries are dried up raisins. Like that's nothing's happening there. But there is shit happening more centrally located. And I'm going to need that shit to move over there. It was pretty cute, though, because he is adorable. He's this huge, hulking, broad-shouldered man with a tiny little baby. And yes, it's very awesome. And to hear him speak Gaelic is beautiful.
Oh.
But Jenny's monologue is really what the scene is about.
And it's a beautiful scene. It's beautifully written. It very closely adheres to what happens in the book. Although Claire and Jenny talk about it later. They're not up. Claire hears him, but Jenny's not a part of it. Mm-hmm. But I much preferred it this way, honestly. I thought it was really like...
I like the two of them together. Mm-hmm. Even back in season 1, which we'll get to when we talk about it later, but that sequence when they were riding through the woods together, these actresses work very well together. Yeah. And you can tell that they enjoy each other's company, trust each other, and bring out the best in each other. And so any scene with the two of them is great.
Yeah, it was really just beautifully written, beautifully acted. Laura Donnelly, again, super duper awesome. Mm-hmm. And just the idea that... no matter how much you trust someone or love someone, there are some things that you only ever going to feel comfortable saying to someone or something that can't understand you. So babies, dogs, 18-year-old boys. Oh, zing! But babies and dogs, or cats. I guess I don't really talk to my cat that way. I wouldn't be like Nancy Drew. I'm going to war. That would never happen.
I could die. What's going to happen to my wife? I'm sure that these are the things that he's saying in Gaelic to the tiny little ginger baby.
Yeah. It's a lovely, lovely scene. And then they're off to the old fox's lair.
And Fergus goes with, and it's like,
Well, no, Fergus. So first of all, they have this great scene, another great Jenny scene, where Jamie's like, I'm going to go see Simon Fraser, Lord of Lovett, and get him to support Charles because he's got to win. And Jenny's like, the fuck you say? Mm-hmm. And Claire's like, but wait, who's this guy? And they both in unison go, our grandsire.
Yeah, so granddad's so a dick.
Where they talk about he tried to have their mother kidnapped because he didn't want Jamie's dad to be married to Ellen Mackenzie, and basically he's just the worst. You find out that he got some of his wives by rape and some by like duplicity, and he's like a terrible person.
Isn't
basically.
Jamie's mother like a housemaid or something?
No. Jamie's grandmother was a maid
in the old fox that Lovett fucked.
Yeah. No, Jamie's mother is Colin and Dougal's sister.
That's right.
Yeah. Who ran away from the Mackenzies to marry Brian Fraser. Black Brian.
Who we haven't seen
Brian yet. Well, that's because he's dead, Julie.
Oh.
We saw him in a flashback.
I don't even remember that.
He's dead, Julie.
He
basically had a stroke when he was watching Blackjack Randall whip his son to death.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, I do remember that.
Yep. So because it's not bad enough that Jamie almost died because he got almost whipped to death. Also, it basically killed his dad. So Jamie's got, in case you were wondering, things Jamie is not good at include having a drama-free life.
Yeah. No, he's no Mary J. Blige.
Yeah. So
they go.
We found out all this about Simon. They're getting ready to go, and they walk out, and everyone's all of a sudden is like, "Hey, who's over there?" And it's Fergus coming in on a little tiny donkey.
Yes,
he's like, "I will go with you, my lord. I will go with you, my lord." And Jamie is like, "No, I mean, yeah, you are because your place is with us."
Claire was like, "No, you're staying here," and Jamie's like, "Wait a minute.
No, this isn't his home. He's coming with us, but he's not going to Lord Lovett. You're going with Marta." And then Duncan Lacroix, bless him. If you want to get married, I'll give you my number. He peeks out from behind Jamie and gets this look on his face that's like, "Yeah, you are."
Yeah.
It's just wonderful. You must obey your chief or your general as well as your commanding officer. And Murta's like, "Just you and me, bitch." It's great.
Let's go.
So then we get some Scotland porn. They're galloping through the Highlands.
And knitwear.
It's just beautiful. They have a little heart-to-heart about how, whoops, I forgot to tell you my dad's a bastard. And Claire's like, "I don't care," because she's from the future.
She's like, "None of this really matters to me except that you don't die." Maybe.
Yeah, that's like, that's important. And then also that we just eventually do it.
Please.
So they get there and meet the old fox.
And fucking Crooked Legs is there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, Julie.
What the hell, Colin
Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Janine, can you hit us with the names of Simon Lovett?
Simon Lovett is it Lord Lovett?
Yes.
Clive Russell.
Clive Russell, serious.
Good name.
And
also,
then,
I might recognize that name from something. I'm going to think about it.
And then Colin Mackenzie.
Oh, give me.
Okay, we'll come back.
In 2 seconds.
Janine, you're fired.
Oh, he's doing so good.
So his uncle is there, and you're like, "Wait a minute, what? Why is he here? He never wanted to have anything to do with this."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Claire's there, and all the men swing their heads and look at her, including Jamie. He's the last one, though, to be fair. And it's like, "Have you ever seen RoboCop?" Bitches out. And she's just like, "Okay, then.
All right, off I go."
And she walks out of the room.
I have to talk politics with my grandson and my rival.
Who's the person you want to know?
Colin Mackenzie.
Colin Mackenzie.
Colin Mackenzie?
Collum.
Gary Lewis.
Gary Lewis.
Also
Real good.
amazing.
Yeah, he's great. And it should be said, Colin, again, has Toulouse-Lautrec syndrome, which his life expectancy should have been, back in the day, way shorter. So he's enduring, but he is not looking good. His hair is way more gray. He looks more haggard, more tired. Mr. Lewis did a great job of being like, "No, I'm still all here mentally, but my body is failing on me," without making a big show of it.
And also, how did from season 1, which we'll talk about later when we do it, but is this another CGI thing? Because that's an incredible effect.
I assume so, yeah.
Yeah, because it's so like...
Janine, look up a picture of Colin Mackenzie in the show. See if you can find a picture of his legs.
Full body photo, because it's really amazing.
Oh, I just found a photo that you guys would just die over.
Wait, is
it Jamie without a shirt on?
No, but it's is it him in a kilt?
Probably.
Yeah,
Gary Lewis in a kilt? No, he looks way too... Who is this? Oh, Graham McTavish.
Oh, no, we're getting there. Hold up.
Next episode.
Yeah, next episode. He's coming back. He's coming back. Don't worry about it. So we find out that Lord Lovett is just basically like the worst douchebag.
What he wants to do is not pick a side. His goal is to not have to say yes to anybody without pissing anybody off, is his whole big goal.
He is incredibly Catholic, but also, we find out later, incredibly superstitious, which comes into play.
Yeah, Masery.
And then we see a flashback. Not really. Who is this bitch? Why is she with Colin? Leary.
Yep. Whoops.
Which didn't... I know I didn't read the books, and Allison and I briefly discussed this beforehand. I didn't necessarily think that this was a good addition to this episode.
I'm not So I'm not going to talk about the reasons that they may have made this choice. And if you're watching any of the little behind the scenes things that Starz is doing about the show, you'll see that they talked about the choice to have Leary at Bewley, I think it's what it's called, Beaufort Castle, was to set up something that happens later. And I totally get it. And I think it's really smart. But it just didn't work for me.
It felt shoehorned.
It felt like, and it's not that actress's fault, but the other thing is like, almost all the characters on Outlander are super well defined. And we'll talk about this more in episode 9 because a lot of the like periphery characters come back in episode 9. But like, think about Mrs. Fitzgibbons. Think about all the things you know about Mrs. Fitzgibbons. And then think of all the things you know about Leary. What do you know about Leary? She's in love with Jamie and she's kind of a bitch. And by kind of a bitch, I mean like borderline murderous bitch, right? And that's basically all we know about Leary. And that's really like, I think that the actress is doing a great job, and I think that the scenes are reasonably well written, but there's just nothing else to her right now. So I don't know how I'm expected to engage with the idea that she wants forgiveness.
Right.
Although I did think that her scene with young Simon.
Oh yeah, when that was good.
Yeah. So when she gets sort of taken into Claire's plot, when they figure out that the
Claire
only
uses
way
Jamie against her, she kind of rubs in the guilt and is like, "You need to do this to help us.
Here's how you can get Jamie to forgive you.
You need to convince Lovett's son,
who obviously has the hots for Leary. He's
and is
making eyes
obviously
the whole
like
time.
weirdly kind of sickly and weak.
Yeah,
right. You need to convince him to.
He's like the Robin Aaron of for Game of Thrones watchers. There you go. He's the Robin Aaron of Beaufort Castle. Although he's kind of cute. Robin Aaron, not so much.
He's cute, but he's like. He's got the eye bags and he looks consumptive. He just doesn't look good.
And I will say again, like these aren't spoilers, but in the book, the younger Simon is much older and much more confident, and his dad still kind of thinks he's an idiot, but like he's a much more forceful personality.
Yeah, because here he was kind of a wimp, except for his 2 big moments.
Yes, and so basically Claire's like, well, we can't get Lord Lovett on our side. I have an idea. And she goes to Leary and says like, listen, bitch, you're gonna go to this man and you're gonna convince him to tell his dad that he should be on his side. And Leary's like, I'm not going to fuck this dude for you. And Claire's like, oh my God, you are such an idiot. Although it did remind me of this one time in the D&D campaign that Julie and I play in, where she was wearing an evil crown she was wearing a crown that made it so that once a day or something she had to check to see whether or not she was evil, and she was evil. So she found like a very nice, mild-mannered caravan guard and convinced her to prostitute herself or she would kill her dog.
I did do that.
Yeah, and then she murdered a child by breaking its back over her leg.
The ends justified the means.
Anyway, that was a fun D&D game. But anyway, Patty.
So Claire's like, bitch, you got to be on our side. You need to convince Lovett's son to come with us because we have to do this. This will make Jamie forgive you for what you did to me. Do you remember that I was almost burned at the stake? Do you remember that was your fault? Okay.
And then she's like, oh, fine. So then there's this incredibly funny and awkward scene that I actually loved. It was one of my favorite scenes in the episode where he's like,
they go on a walk to the church. Oh, but wait. Claire sees Maisie first because Lovett shoves her out and she's like, oh, who are you?
Let's come back to Maisie in just a second and just like wrap up this Leary thing.
Right.
So the scene where they're standing outside the church while Claire is like hiding in the church talking to Maisie, and we'll get to that. I thought was so funny because she was just like, oh, hi, come sit on the tree by me. And he was like, do you like poetry? Yes, I do. And then he starts quoting poetry and she was like, no, seriously, why don't you come sit on the tree?
Don't you want to just look down my shirt?
Yeah.
Well, that comes up later, right?
I gave him a kick down my blouse.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Let him look.
God, I gave him an eyeful. What do you want? She's like, no wonder he ran away. You stupid girl.
But anyway. Seriously though, really, guys, isn't that really all you want though?
Yeah, I mean, it's why Janine does the podcast every time we're recording.
You got me.
Yeah. We're like, here, Janine, here's a beer, and here's the requisite look down our blouse.
Here you go. Thank you so much.
Aaron Pagel, whose real name is Aaron Pagel, not Janine, would like to make it very clear
That's
that
not him.
he does not look down our tops.
No.
He's a very nice person.
Never.
He just finished reading Asking for It, and a book about rape culture by Kate Harding, and enjoyed it very much. Cheers to Aaron Pagel.
Thank you for that disclaimer.
However, the reason Julie does the show is because every week I let her look down my blouse.
It's always a different gift.
If you did that today, it'd be real sweaty.
Larry does get her moment because that scene is adorable. But what happens before that and then leads into the church scene is that Claire learns that the old fox has a seer. Maisry, who he doesn't much care to listen to when she says bad shit. Isn't that always the way? Mm-hmm. And so back up at his house, she sees him throw her out of the room. Claire finds out she has a seer. Then she follows her to this church. And then Leary is part of that scene.
Yeah.
But then Claire goes into the church, and there she is.
And they have this great conversation about knowledge being a curse. And then Maisry tells her about the thing she won't tell Lord Lovett, which is about the shadow of an axe on his face, which in the book is just a prediction. And in the show is an entire plot point. So we'll get there.
And she has a great medium moment. I love it when actors get to play mediums or parts like that because you get to have this kind of fugue state thing and go into the vision. And the actress who plays Maisry does a great job. It's a short scene, but it's I see him. I see a hooded man.
The shadow of an axe.
The shadow of an axe. And you're like, oh, traitor. Okay.
Great.
So Claire's getting all this news.
File that away just in case. Probably not going to be useful.
I might not need that.
Right.
And then what brings her outside? Doesn't somebody yell or something?
Yeah, Larry's like, Claire, he keeps trying to talk to me about poetry. Claire.
No, didn't he run away? He ran away.
He ran away because boobs.
Oh, boobs aren't scary. Boobs are
You know what? We have seen at least 50% of Leary's boobs because of a scene in season 1 where she shows up and is like, no one's ever had sex with me. Take me, Jamie, take me. So I gotta say, they're not scary boobs.
No.
They're perfectly fine boobs.
Boobs aren't scary. Boobs are awesome.
Yeah. They're not. They're a perfectly nice pair of boobs.
But this guy was not ready.
He's like, no, shall I compare
poetry.
thee to a summer's day? And away he ran. So fast forward. There are some more little good moments in there before we get to the big thing at the end. There was a great little thing where they were talking about how Claire can come to dinner even though she can't be in the room where it happens. But she can come to dinner. And Jamie says, my grandsire does not object to some decoration at the table. Ugh. ... As long as the decoration does not speak. And then Claire silently just gives him this look and 6 or 7 seconds go by. And then he says, I don't think it's exactly what he's like, right, or there. And it was really funny. And I was like, fat chance. Have you ever been anywhere where you were like, Claire, the most important thing for you to do is just to keep your mouth shut? And she hasn't immediately opened up her mouth. It was the first time ever. Claire, you're getting better at this time travel thing.
You're getting really good.
So then we have this big final scene where
wait, did he tell his granddad that she was La Dame Blanche yet?
Oh yeah,
because
that
then he tells
too.
Claire. Yeah, he tells Claire. He's like, "Oh, I might have. My granddad has a thing, and he has a seer, and he's kind of into this shit. So I might have kind of told you you're a witch."
The other thing about that La Dame Blanche scene, though, is
and she's like, "Could you stop telling?"
But the reason he does it is because. Lord Lovett's like, how about I trade you Lallybrock because he wants Lallybrock for your wife's honor, and Jamie's like, oh my god, I would love to see you try. Mm-hmm. No, seriously, you want to try a piece of my wife? I'll send in the maids to clean up after you after she's ripped you to pieces. And that's not me making something up. That's basically exactly what he says, which is like Jamie. He does know his wife. That's true.
But then he tells him,
he's like, oh, by the way,
she's a witch.
Your penis will fall off.
By the way, your fucking
I just
dick
wanted
will
you to
fall
know, if you try to rape my wife, your dick's going to fall off. It's going to turn black and crumble and fall off. And that's probably not good because it's probably already starting to turn black and crumble. Right?
And then he went to tell Claire, he's like, oh, it was so great. I just told him you were a witch. And Claire is like, Jesus fucking Christ, could you please stop telling people I am a witch?
You remember that literally the girl who tried to have me killed for being a witch is in the building.
Is actually here. And Neil and I laughed our asses off. We're like, oh God, okay. This is everything we predicted for this series. It's like she just has to dance around not being a witch the whole time.
So then, speaking of not being a witch, they have this big final come to Jesus meeting where Lord Lovett's basically like, all right, so on the one hand, I've got this document that says, yeah, I'm on Team Mackenzie. I am neutral. And on the other hand, I've got this document that says a deed of assassin. Keep that in the old memory box. That says, I, Jamie Fraser, hereby acknowledge that the person who's actually in control of my property is my grandpa. Which one do you want me to sign? And
it's him, it's Jamie and Colin.
And Colin's like, I fucking win. I win. And then right as Jamie is about to sign the deed of assassin, Claire goes,
So she sounds like Bert Lahr from The Wizard of Oz.
With the royal growl.
So she puts on the witch drag again.
Yeah. She was like, "Oh, I see. What was it?
I see a shadow of an axe." And she starts freaking out. And Jamie turns around and he's like, "Oi."
No, he turns around and he's like, yes, and?
Yes, keep talking.
And he runs up and she's falling down. And he's like, oh, no, you don't have to tell him anything, Claire. You don't have to tell him anything.
And then the old guy's
it's really good improv.
And the old guy's like, wait a minute. Keep talking.
No, what, you stupid bitch? You tell me what I want to know. And she's like, no. And he's like, yes, or am I going to stab you? And he comes running at her. And Jamie's all like, uh-oh. And then finally, she's just like, oh, okay, I'll tell you. So I saw a shadow of an axe. And I couldn't see who was holding the axe. But it was the strangest thing. The ground was covered with white roses. And then Jamie's like, that's the symbol of the Stuarts. And then everyone's in hysterics. And then Lord Lovett's like, oh my God, that means so much to me. Yeah, fuck it, I'm Team Mackenzie.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he's like, fuck it, I'm neutral.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this.
But Simon, in the meantime, is like, you and Colin are scared old men.
Yeah, he stands up to his dad. So he's like, I'm going to go with Jamie. So
you are scared. And then his dad's like, okay, see ya.
Whatever, bye.
And then when they're peacing out, Jamie walks up to Leary and is like, my wife said I should say thank you to you, and I don't know why, but thank you.
And then he turns around and walks away, and Leary's like, I still love you.
Yeah. She says, I will one day earn your forgiveness. And then he walks away, and she goes, and your love. God damn it. Worst line of the episode, maybe worst line of the entire series. It was
the worst. When I wrote it down, I was like, Leary's still in love with Jamie. Of course. This, no.
And your love.
No, it was bad, you guys.
On my own, pretending
this episode was not my favorite.
It was not my favorite either. I don't know if you can tell, but there were some good moments. Maisie the Seer, hanging out with Colin. There was that great scene where Claire is basically like, hey, remember that one time you tried to kill me?
We didn't talk about this, though. They go to leave, so Jamie's leaving with all his guys. He's not getting any help from the old fox, and then the son comes with him and brings guys, and then they leave, and then the old fox shows up and is like, it's great that my son is following you, because if my son follows you of his own accord, then I'm still neutral, and if he wins with you, then my land passes and everything's cool, but if it doesn't work out that way and I remain neutral, then I don't lose anything.
Yeah.
So it's old age and treachery.
He's like, basically, thanks for letting me get exactly what I want. Peace.
Bye.
Here, take these farmers. They'll fight for you.
And they all look like shit.
And they're all like,
okay.
Okay.
I'll fight this war.
Off we go. And we skipped all the column stuff, but whatever. Column's gonna be back. The big things were that Column is like, oh, so I mean, I didn't try to have you killed, and when I found out that my housemaid did it, I beat her. So is that okay? And Claire's like,
no.
But it's a good little chat when they're leaving. Jamie and Colin seem to leave on good terms, and he's a really engaging character and stuff. And also, it should be said, is very obviously confused. And he's like, I don't understand why you, a smart and sensible person, are all of a sudden acting like a fucking idiot. And Jamie can't say, oh, because my wife's a time traveler. So I know.
Because I know what happens.
So I know what happens. And like, we tried to stop it, but we couldn't. So now we have to try to change it. So like, I know it's stupid. But I have to. But instead he's like, bye, Colin. It's just
good to see you. Wouldn't want to be you.
No, Colin's like, no, seriously, you are like way smarter than this. Why are you being such a tool? And Jamie's like, have you seen my wife?
That's all I really have for this episode. I've got to say, it was really not my favorite.
You know, I still enjoyed it, and obviously we're having a lot of giggles. I was super glad to see Jenny, but it was not. It was a little bit weird to go from that fucking beautiful, terrible Faith episode, the miscarriage episode, to like potatoes and witchcraft.
Right.
I would have enjoyed this episode more if they had just called it straight up potatoes and witchcraft. If they had called it that, I would have been prepared.
I would have known more what to expect.
Potatoes and witchcraft. Then I know potatoes, witchcraft, and your love.
God, that shit was the worst. That shit was like the Virgin Mary falling over and breaking. It was like that.
It was too much. Too much.
All right.
So let's see. As always, these scales are unplanned in advance. So let's start with the costumes. On a scale, we'll go with the knitwear theme. On a scale of the H&M winter sale to, oh God, I don't know. Like the LL Bean winter catalog?
No, man. Tweeds.
Tweeds?
Does anyone remember tweeds?
I mean, I know like what a tweed suit looks like.
No. There was a company called Tweeds. I don't know if they still exist. Janine is looking it up. That wool gray skirt that I have, the long gray wool skirt that we talked about yesterday, that is from Tweeds. My kind of salmon colored swing, like beautiful merino wool, that's from Tweeds. Like early 90s wool shit. Like, yes.
Do they still exist, Janine?
Can't tell.
There's a tweed Canadian marijuana.
No, that ain't right.
That's not right.
That ain't right. I'm going to go Tweeds because it's classic. You're glad to see it. It fits in every situation, and thank God we're back in knitwear. I loved the fancy French costumes, but this feels right.
Yeah. I'm going to go with a personal shout out, but she's got an Etsy store, so whatever. But fuck, I don't know what it is.
Let me look it up.
Janine, Google Katie Canavan Etsy. Yeah, Canavan. Our friend Katie Canavan is a textile and knitwear genius. And she makes really, really beautiful things. Under the red umbrella.
I think I found her profile, but I don't see Under the Red Umbrella. Katie Canavan.
Oh God! You know what? Wait, Katie Canavan fucking shut down her Etsy store. Some shit. Useless plug. Anyway, she makes beautiful knitwear, and every time I'm watching Outlander, I'm like, I wonder if Katie could make me a pair of those fingerless gloves.
I wonder if she could do that infinity scarf for me.
Yeah, I wonder if she could make that thing that's like not quite a sweater vest, but not quite a sweater, but not quite a top.
Could she do those leg warmers for my arms?
I wonder. And the answer is yes, she definitely could.
Oh, she has like these bombshell short knitting pattern by Katie Canavan.
Yeah.
Oh, they look great.
Yeah. No, thumbs up from Janine. He really loves knitting patterns.
I really actually do.
Him and Albus Dumbledore. Ooh, nerd reference. All right. So on a scale, we'll go on to the beer metric.
Easy.
On a scale of Home Shopping Network to Mariah Carey on the Home Shopping Network.
Ooh.
Where does it fall?
I am actually going to go to a personal reference for this one, just like you did with Katie. This is like on Catterday. That's Saturday, for those of you not in the know. When Neil and I wake up and PBS is on Pledge Drive, and we call it Jesus, Mind, Brain, Body, because it's like, what's happening on PBS? Pledge Drive. That's what it was. Meaning, leave whenever you want.
Oh God, I don't know if I'd go that far.
I wouldn't leave when Jenny was talking, but like all the shit at the old man's castle, anytime pretty much Lair was on screen, it wasn't imbued with importance. It didn't feel like it was pulling you forward into anything. So it was like no problem to press pause. In fact, I told you earlier, I had a note here. I am checking Facebook on my phone right now. And I have never done that while watching an episode of Outlander.
Yeah. I'm going to go with when you're reading a book series, and in this case, I'm going to use the Percy Jackson books. Little known fact about me that you have definitely picked up if you've listened to even one episode of this podcast, because I cannot resist the urge to make really nerdy references to children's books. I really like young adult literature, and the Percy Jackson books are like totally good when you're on the third book, and by the time you're on the fifth one, you're just reading it because now you have to get to the end.
Yeah, it's like Dune. Dune is the way too.
Yeah. Dune is that. Exactly.
Yeah,
yes,
because the first two books are so fucking good, and then you get to the third book, and you're like, what? And then you get to the fourth book, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
Well,
Fifth book, no. Sixth book.
Then you get to the point where you're like, his son is now writing it, and you're just like, I don't give.
Why am I still reading this?
Yeah, and it's not like those books are bad. I haven't read Dune, but Percy
the
Jackson,
last two Dune books are bad.
I just read the Septimus Heap books, or I read the Mortal Instruments books. Those fucking sucked. And it's like if it's any book series that's not Harry Potter that's longer than 7 books long, there comes a point when you're like, oh, or like the Redwall books. God, I love those books. And then
Thomas
I realized,
Covenant. Anybody?
No.
Anybody with Thomas Covenant?
No. Okay. Or like, this is going to be sacrilege to some people who really love Game of Thrones, but I love those books. But every once in a while, it's like, and here, read this short story that is nothing but history of Westeros, characters you're never going to meet, things that don't matter. It's just like filler.
It's gotta get you up to speed with where they're moving to, but it also feels like maybe we could have done this in a flashback, in small flashbacks throughout an episode that had more action.
You know, Julie, I've got a revolutionary idea. You know what would have made me really love this episode? If they had fucked.
No shit. Jesus Christ, can you guys just please fucking do it?
We're earning that explicit tag this week.
Can't you just
Swizzle
do it?
Enough. I have
Swizzle
2 words
enough.
for you. Swizzle.
No, you know what? No swizzle enough. I want to see straight P&B. What's the third scale? Doing it scale. 0.
Yeah, no. There's the hot.
Okay, so what's like teasing you and then brings you back from the brink? What's a movie that like gets you there and is like, nope?
Well, like I don't know.
It's like Requiem for a Dream, where it's like,
No, it is nothing like Requiem for a Dream.
I just want there to be a scale for Requiem for a Dream. That's all.
Requiem for a Dream is always the worst sexual thing you could do.
Yeah,
ever. Well, that and Happiness are kind of like on that end.
Yeah.
Requiem for a Dream is worse.
Okay, imagine that you're watching, let's say, Blue is the Warmest Color. Have you seen that?
Yeah, and then your cable goes out.
Yes. Yep, exactly.
That's what this fucking... I'm serious, you guys. There's a reason why there are people who watch this show. And we're starting to get mad.
And you know what? I'm really, really glad that they didn't fuck in Faith, for example. Didn't matter.
No.
There are all kinds of episodes where they don't have sex where I'm like, that's totally fine. That makes perfect sense. And I don't watch Outlander for the fucking, but if they're doing it and we're not seeing it, I would like to know why. Like, we don't need an artful fadeaway. We could have lost one of those Leary scenes and how about this? How about this pitch? Here's my pitch, Outlander. Here's my pitch. Leary is having her monologue about how she still loves Jamie, and in the background, Claire and Jamie are fucking against a wall.
That would have been great. Yep. I would have been like, oh, it's just a mere taste, but that's okay. It keeps me going down the road.
You know, like Game of Thrones has quote unquote sex position, but all it really means is boobs. I actually want sex position, but I want it to be like Colum and Lord Lovett are having a conversation about neutrality and being crafty old dudes who don't want to side with Bunny Prince Charlie because they have good taste.
And then in the corner, Claire and Jamie are doing it.
It's just like Claire getting her shit eaten. No, not her actual shit. Like a euphemism for her vagina. She's
on a table in the corner.
As Beyonce would say, he's turning that cherry out.
She's got her knitwear pulled up, but she still has leg warmers on. That's for you, Neil. And they were all thrilled.
Yeah.
God, I think you guys can sense a theme.
Yeah. All right. So the answer is the doing it scale is we're extremely, although you know what? Maybe that's good. Maybe it's like last year. Remember how there was all the sex in episode 1 and then we had to wait forever? Maybe it's like that. Maybe they're just like warming us up. They're turning our crank.
No, my crank has stopped. It has there's no oil left. It's like, and I'm stuck now.
You know, they make products that help with that.
I know, but the show needs to help me along, and it's not doing it for me right now.
And with that,
you guys, we just want more doing it. Hello, Tall Ships Productions at Tall Ships Productions. Could you just more doing it?
Turn that cherry out. Turn that cherry out. Turn that cherry out. Turn that cherry out. It's not possible to play that song right now, is it?
I mean, I could, but
Janine?
Well, no one's. I mean, we have 6 listeners, unless they work for them.
Okay. I'm just going to ask everybody. No, we'll do it anyway. But just in case you're listening and it's not there because Beyonce prevented us, just go listen to Blow from whatever the last one was called. Was it called not Lemonade, the one before that?
Beyonce the album?
I think Beyonce, the self-titled one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, go listen to that. Turn that cherry out, turn that cherry. Or watch the video. Must be good to you. And she's on roller skates. Anyway. Because you know what? It's way hotter than this last episode of Outlander.
Incredibly much hotter.
Yep. All right. So I am Allison.
And I'm Julie.
And that's Janine.
Hey.
And we'll be back for us in about 3 minutes. And for you, when you decide to download the next episode of Podlander Drunkcast, not Outlander podcast. All right. Turn that cherry out.
Bye.